Oh, goody. This is a lot of fun. This is fun. Are we having fun?
Having a great time. Well, I'm awake.
There's a casket. I would maybe get in there and sleep right now. What am I? I'm chopped liver. She doesn't count me. I'm not good enough support. Because we're probably both just as scared. Thank God we bought these headlamps. Well, we're not. Well, right now there's lights on. What?
That's so dark.
Well, we could turn on the full lights.
That's true. Or we can just look at it from over here.
Come on, it's okay. It's okay.
Nah, it's not okay.
It'd be alright. Turn on your brighter light. Oh my God, that's eerie as F.
Yeah, no.
Is that where we have to? Is that where we have to go?
Yeah, no, we don't.
Hey, this is Remnants. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Emily.
And today we're going to talk about Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Yep. We actually haven't been sitting on this one that long, but we've been so excited to talk about it.
Yeah, because I didn't think we would be able to go to this infamous place as soon as we have.
Yeah,
it just kind of all fell into place.
Yeah, it just fell into our laps, and we're like, well, shit, we should go do this. And not only did we go do it, we did the, 6-hour overnight?
Yes.
So we got there at midnight, and we stayed till 6.
Yeah.
6. We stayed till 6, Kayla. Don't reveal my shame.
I mean, by the time we got back to the hotel, it was 6.
Shh.
I mean, I think it was we stayed pretty much the whole time.
My back gave out.
Yeah, her poor back. So this was our first true overnight at a location because we'd done Galore till 1 a.m. But this was
this is our real test.
I handled it a lot better than I thought I would.
Handled it a lot worse than I thought I would, but there were factors. There were outlying factors.
Yeah, it was your back.
Yeah, we had.
And I had come from a restful time, but you had been at a conference and then going into this you didn't have time to prep like I had.
But I think it's safe to say we both definitely caught the ghost hunting bug.
Oh yeah, I think I was telling Emily as we were driving there that this is gonna make or break us as ghost hunters, and it's we've got the bug.
I thought it broke me at the time, but when we were done, was that won't happen again. Let's schedule another one. And we did.
And we did, yeah. We have another, not at Waverly, but another.
At the Chutes.
At the Chutes.
I'm never going to be able to call it its actual name because it's ridiculous.
The Wyeth Tootle Mansion in St. Joseph.
Old Toodles.
That's in a few weeks. But anyways, yeah, Waverly Hills. It's a big one. And we did it, and we survived, and we got... I mean, they talk about you can't go there and not have something happen, and
they were right.
And it's amazing. There was some things that we, in the moment, we knew we were capturing, but so much is
yeah, we had no idea.
As we're reviewing our footage. This one will also eventually have a video episode.
Yep.
So we did a lot of filming, which was really fun for us because we haven't really done that before. So
yep, and it's definitely it's something we're going to focus on moving forward for sure, because it helped our investigation a lot to have multiple things to go back to kind of verify or...
True, because a lot of the time either Emily was recording on a digital recorder and I was recording on an iPhone, or vice versa, or we were both recording on our iPhone, so pretty much every moment was double captured. So, anyways.
Yeah, it was... I remember leaving there feeling super disappointed too. I had fun, but I didn't think we got anything.
Yeah.
And then the next day, once we'd finally recovered and we were in our hotel room, we're let's just listen to this stuff.
Yeah, we actually even skipped doing stuff in Louisville because we just wanted to review the footage.
Yeah, we're wait a second. What did we get? Because it was... You'll see it later.
But I guess first we should probably bore people with the history.
We haven't had I feel like we haven't had a legit professor experience with you in a while.
No, because we haven't had an investigator. We've kind of been doing these other topics, which has been a lot of fun. But yeah, it's been a little while since we've done an investigation.
Are you ready?
I think so.
All right. I'm ready to be learned. Teach me good.
So Waverly Hills is located in Louisville, Kentucky. It first opened in 1910 as a 2-story treatment facility for tuberculosis. It was originally designed to treat about 40 to 50 people. That quickly grew to the current 5-story, 150,000 square foot facility that was built in 1926. I mean, it is huge.
Yeah, it's insanely big, and the fact that they basically just gave us free roam of it,
Yeah.
I still can't wrap my head around that.
I mean, and we were there 6 hours, and we didn't really get to explore the 5th floor because we just ran out of time.
Yeah.
Like, that place is massive.
And we didn't, like, get fully lost, but we definitely got lost on occasion, and, like, I feel like we were just starting to figure out the layout near the end of the night, but
Right.
it's a huge place.
It is, and the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors are pretty much identical because those were the patient floors. So the one side has, like, the open air, is it like solariums?
Solariums.
And then on the other side of the hall is, like, little rooms. So that's where...
The terminal rooms.
The terminal room. So once someone... Did I say, yeah, this was a tuberculosis facility?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said that. Okay, like people... Oh, and that's the thing. Like, Waverly Hills, it was a sanatorium. That does not mean it was a mental hospital. That's something I never really, like, oh.
I
A
didn't
sanatorium is just, like, a health facility.
Is
So,
this sanatorium with an A or an
Yes,
I?
with an A.
So the sanatorium with the I is the mental hospital.
right.
'Cause I think, obviously not now, but I think before I'd really started researching things a bunch, I'd thought that this was like a mental health
I did, too.
facility. Like,
I knew about the tuberculosis, but I guess I just thought, because you hear sanatorium, and I always just thought that was...
yeah, and then, like, I feel like people then additionally, once they get disappointed that it wasn't that, they're like, well, some tuberculosis patients did go crazy if it, like, got to their, like, brains
Right.
or whatever.
But I
'Cause
think-
that's what I'd heard, too. It's just like,
Mhm.
well, they were crazy, though. Like, well, not really.
But not, yeah.
Yeah.
That was such a small percentage of the people that stayed there.
Yeah.
So the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor had your, like, permanent residents. The one side with the open air, that was for the ones that they thought would get better, and then they would move them to the other side of the hall when they thought that they were not going to make it. Then the 5th floor had the children's ward, which that's so sad to think
Ugh.
about, kids with TB.
Yeah.
And then it also included the patients with tuberculosis that went to the brain. Just kind of an odd
Yeah,
combination.
they did a lot of weird things with the kids there. Like,
Yeah.
I get it, knowing the science that as they understood it at the time. Like, they thought the fresh air and all of that was the best treatment. So in that sense, putting the kids on the roof and putting a playground on the roof, open
Mhm.
air, I guess was them trying to be like getting the max exposure.
Yeah.
But also, like,
Yeah. But Waverly Hills, it actually was, especially for the time, it was a nice place. Like, they weren't poorly treated. They, at least for what they knew.
Yeah.
It was, at this time, they didn't quite know what caused tuberculosis or really how to treat it. It was a very deadly disease. So the patients had to become residents at Waverly, and the staff did too. So it was like a totally self-contained facility, which is interesting. And but the doctors, it sounds like it was pretty good for its time. They had access to 24/7 nutritional meals, so they could eat whenever they wanted. They had all the fresh air. They had these heat lamp rooms.
yeah.
Right?
We had that, and then I remember that when we were on our tour, the guide showed us, like, these almost, like, jacks in the wall, and I guess it had been where they were able to listen to music. Like, there was music going
Yeah.
through, because it was in sort of, like, the breezeway of the solarium area, so it was, like, outside of the rooms, they have these open breezeway areas with the large windows that would have, I believe they had glass at them at the time.
No,
They didn't?
No, it's just copper
Okay, we did talk
screens.
about that. So they had the screens. So that's where they would sit, and they would just sit in these chairs and be able to, like, listen to music and stuff. And
So
it was a good place.
I think people had a pretty happy experience,
As happy
even
as
though
they
they
could
had
be,
a deadly disease. But I think they were actually treated well. They talked about on the tour, too, the second floor had a big dining hall where they encouraged the residents, if they felt well enough, to get dressed and come down and
like
socialize
to dress nice and everything.
and dine, which that's cool.
Yeah, like they tried and they did say like a lot of people there felt like it was their home and not just a hospital. So it wasn't, obviously there were a lot of very negative things about being there and the people weren't like, oh, super happy all the time, but it was as good as it could have been, I think.
And it was never overcrowded. It sounds like it was, they didn't talk about any understaffing, so I think it was run pretty great, I guess, as it could.
It's definitely not like, when you see the place and when you hear about it, it's not what you picture. So I think it's definitely important to be like, no, it wasn't like this horrible, evil place where they're mistreating people and doing these horrible experiments or anything like that. Like,
right. And I guess kind of with that, so tuberculosis, they did have one treatment, which a lot of go shows or the other podcasts like to talk about, but we learned it was voluntary. That's where they would open up the chest cavity and remove ribs.
And they had to do it, like, it wasn't a one and done procedure. It was multiple times because you had to do like a few ribs at a time, I think, was kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, but
didn't they need to like put something in the lung to help reinflate it once they'd...
Yeah, they would. It just sounded brutal. So I guess the doctors would talk to the patients about what it was, and it was up to them to decide if they wanted to do that treatment or not.
Which I guess I don't fully understand. Is that just once the lungs are just so... whatever is happening, I don't fully understand what TB does to the body enough to really speak to it, but but yeah, they made it very clear that it was very elective and you could people knew the risks, and it was at the point where they probably knew they weren't going to make it either way, so like you either try something or you just wait.
But even their operating room was kind of advanced because they talked about how they had like natural sunlight coming in, and they would open the windows.
And a lot of that, I don't remember what chemical they were using, but it was
for
what
anesthesia.
Because they had to use that because apparently it was incredibly volatile. And they couldn't, I don't think they could have regular overhead lights with it. So they needed the sunlight, and also the sunlight is helpful for other reasons, but like... it was a very well thought out place.
It was. Yeah. In the basement, there is a morgue.
Oh, there sure is.
But they said they only did, it's a small morgue, and it just has like 3 body trays because they only did autopsies on patients that died of causes other than tuberculosis.
Which wasn't many, but...
Right.
But you're tiptoeing very close to
yes,
probably one of the worst pieces of this place.
So tuberculosis was also known as the White Plague. And, it had a death rate of 1 death per day during, the early 1900s. So due to the high death rate, the facility they converted, wasn't it like a kind of a construction tunnel? They said they would transport
I think so.
Like supplies. Yeah. So they had this, it's a 500-foot long tunnel under the building that they converted into what we now call the body chute. So to kind of keep morale up, they didn't want the patients to see, all these deaths every day. So they started taking the bodies through this tunnel where then a hearse would be waiting at the bottom to load the casket.
Which is like absolutely terrifying sounding, but it was very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Like,
because you don't want to see every day there's a new casket rolling down the hallway.
Right. Because that would have been awful. Like,
for your morale.
Right. And like not only for all the adults there that might understand it a little bit better, but all the kids, like, it was definitely a very, very good thing for them to do, but it does make for a very horrific fact.
Yeah.
When you're there, it's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, we really didn't spend much time in the body chute.
No, we need to go back.
It was pretty terrifying, and
I think we terrified other people.
Yeah, because there were some people. So I guess, we could talk about that later when we. But
yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead to our investigation, but about 6,000 people died inside of Waverly Hills that we know of. They did say that they don't have any records hardly because they were all destroyed in flooding and such. So
Yeah, they had like
there's really not a lot of like, what they get is from families saying, oh yeah, you know, such family member lived here and died there. But roughly they're estimating about 6,000 people probably died at Waverly when it was the tuberculosis facility. So when the antibiotic streptomycin, was discovered, tuberculosis cases then started to lower over the years. So Waverly Hills closed in June of 1961, and the building was reopened in 1962 as Woodhaven Geriatric Center, a nursing home primarily treating aging patients with various stages of dementia and mobility limits. But this is probably where the like maybe the bad parts of Waverly come into the story, because Woodhaven was greatly understaffed and overcrowded, and they had reports of patient neglect. And on our tour, they even talked about how the 4th and 5th floors were not supposed to be used, but they had found dementia patients locked on the 4th floor. So it was closed by the state of Kentucky in 1982.
That was open a long time.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years.
Like, that was enough time for people's lives to just end in that condition.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially just being locked and left alone in a room.
Ugh.
When you already have dementia.
It's so awful. So, yeah, any of the dark energy that is at Waverly, we think would have been from its time as the nursing home.
Yeah, because that, like... I mean, those people weren't evil, obviously, by any means, but they were mistreated in a very difficult and confusing time. I can only imagine what that would have potentially produced.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm getting, like, chills thinking about it, knowing kind of what we experienced there. It's just, like...
And they don't talk, like... people always kind of brush over the history of its time as a nursing home, and you're just focused on the tuberculosis part, which is what it was designed for, so I get it. But it's like, it was a nursing home for 20 years, and it sounds like that's a lot of dark, bad times happened.
Yeah, because, like, that was actual malice versus the sanatorium days. Like, yeah, it was bad and bad.
There was a lot of death.
But everybody was trying their best to help people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that I hate that part of it so much.
But then, so the building was then sold in 2001 to Tina and Charlie Mattingly. And it took them 2 years to clean out all the trash and debris. So I think the building was pretty much abandoned for like 20 years. And so, of course, it was a haven for trespassers and homeless. And so when they bought it in 2001, they were really, it took them a long time to just get it to the state it is today.
It's honestly a really good state.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's clean.
It is. Like, it's clean. It feels relatively safe. And they have, like, I remember they encouraged people to go to, like, the roof, but they had tiles that were safe to walk on and tiles that weren't. Like, as far as places that we've investigated go, and we haven't gone that many places, but as far as they go, this felt like a really well-preserved one.
Yeah, much better than our favorite winery. That's a topic for another day.
I am losing favoritism of it a little bit, and I don't think it's, you know. You know.
Do you want to talk about some of the stories at Waverly?
Yes. So, going back to when it was like a sanatorium, there are some stories attributed to ghosts, which we didn't end up investigating again. It was on the
I know.
I almost said the 500th floor.
The 500.
The 5th floor.
That's how far away it felt.
In room 502. It was so far away we couldn't make it. So in room 502, there is a story of a nurse that hung herself. Was it in the room or outside?
There was outside.
Different.
There's kind of a lot of different,
Because some people said in the room, and then some people said that she was found hanging from the light fixture outside of it, which I was literally, like, standing under it when she pointed, and I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah, because I'll let you tell the story.
Well, I mean, the story is, like, again, it's just, like, a story. It's nothing that's really verifiable at this point, but the rumors were that she'd either had an affair with one of the doctors who was married and potentially fell pregnant from that and killed herself, or similar story and had a botched abortion, and then the doctor hung her up to make it look like she killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things. I feel like so many places have stories like this. Like, even my
Yeah.
college had a story about a nursing student who hung herself in the observatory on our campus because of a similar situation. That's just such a common
Right.
story for some reason.
Yeah, and it's tough because, one, Waverly has no records hardly, but it's like, you think this would be a story that would have made the news, but then also, if it was true, they probably would have covered it up. So it's like, who knows?
Our guide had even brought up, like, she had heard of a story from a newspaper in, like, Waverly, like a city in a different state of this happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like Waverly, New York, or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it was like one of those things where, like,
That's right. I forgot about that.
did this just get distorted over time and become a Waverly story? I mean, some people do say that they've seen a nurse's spirit on that floor, though, but it's in a
The
hospital.
nurse's station was also up there.
Yeah,
Remember,
so,
it was
like,
in between the
There's a lot of
two
nurses
Mm-hmm.
there, and I'm sure some of them got TB and died as well, so, I mean, I don't know. But
Yeah.
that is one of the big stories there. There is, was it the 4th floor that the operating room was on?
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking, I know, earlier about the one procedure where they would take out, like, pieces of rib and everything. And I remember that our tour guide was saying that people would lay down on the operating table, which it was an accurate, like, authentic operating table, and some people would lay on it, and they would say that they could feel what was, like, tapping on the rib cage.
Hmm.
Like, somebody was, like, feeling where they would need to be removing some ribs or anything like that. And another thing that made me panic and leave that room when we were investigating, the door slams, and once it slams and closes, it locks, and you're locked in the operation room
Until someone can let you out.
Yeah, and I remembered that while we were in there, and I was like, Kayla, I'm going. The door closes, Kayla.
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 That was true. At one point, we were just kind of roaming, and we were both in there. And yeah, Emily was like, "I'm leaving. We could get locked in here."
That's like one of my biggest fears, is just getting locked somewhere and nobody knowing I'm there. Like,
That would-
please.
That would be too. Yeah, that was like towards the end of the night. It was right before we left, so it was like 5:30 in the morning. But and that's another thing about the operating room. It has one of the few original items of the time it was the tuberculosis facility, because it still has the light.
Yeah.
Because they said pretty much everything was cleared out, so they don't have very much original stuff in there.
Yeah, this
But the operating light is
big,
original.
empty freaking building.
Yeah.
So those are those two ones. I think one of the most famous stories,
Mhm.
which I can see why now in retrospect, but one of the most famous stories at Waverly involves a homeless man that one of the former owners had allowed to stay at Waverly to kind of help guard it. There was a homeless man and his dog, and they slept. We saw it on the tour. Was it on the third floor?
Mm-hmm.
There's like a little, so there's the elevator shaft, and then there's a little alcove that goes kind of almost like behind it. Like it's a hallway, a very narrow hallway, and then it snakes around, and that's where he slept. And the story of him is that he was kind of chasing some intruders at Waverly, and somehow, whether it was by accident or he'd been pushed, he ended up at the bottom of the elevator shaft with his dog, and they were both dead. And that's the story. He'd either been pushed, or our tour guide even threw out that it looked like it was a ritualistic killing, which I'd heard nowhere else, but
Yeah.
that was mentioned. So yeah, that's that story. Nobody really knows a lot of details about him.
Mm-hmm.
And is that the floor Timmy's on too? Because
Yes.
that's where the Shane and Ryan were Ryan's name.
Yes, name.
So you probably already know we're BuzzFeed Unsolved nerds by this point. The episode where they go to Waverly Hills, they spend a lot of time trying to interact with the ghost Timmy, who is also on the third floor. And Timmy's rumored to be one of the child spirits.
And they think
young
because,
ghouls.
Yes, young ghouls.
A young ghoul. That needs to be a book series. So he's one of the many like ghosts of kids, because there were a lot there, and there are a lot of rumors of there being very playful and just mischievous ghosts there that are suspected to be the children. And Timmy is one of those who people believe will interact with balls that you leave in that hallway if you leave them set up and invite them to play and all that. And in their episode, when Shane and Ryan went there, they did the experiment with the ball, and the ball rolled away and literally rolled kind of into that hallway alcove I was talking about and stopped under graffiti that said Ryan.
I mean,
So,
it's pretty crazy.
right. And honestly, like in Red now, with everything we have, I'm like, I don't doubt anything in that hallway anymore.
Yeah. They pretty much said that every floor is haunted, but then our guide did say the 3rd and 4th floors seem to be the most active.
The 4th floor just legitimately scared me because that's where she said the shadow people were like the most shadowy. And she just described it so disturbingly that I was like oof.
Like, I think like they talk about like the creeper on the 4th floor, like the shadows being like on the ceiling or...
Which, that concept scared me a lot at the time, but once we were exploring more, the building itself is so like water stained, and there's so many patches of like the ceiling that's kind of decayed that there are naturally dark spots everywhere in that building that you can see even in the dark. And there's so many doorways and windows that there's just different levels of darkness no matter where you look. So to me, the shadow people, because that's a big thing at Waverly, is the shadow people. And they have, like the creeper you said that is crawling on the ceilings, which could easily be those dark spots we saw, or crawling on the floor. Our guide even talked about a dark mass of shadow coming at them, which like, that is scary, but also the shadows are just, they're very thick there.
They are.
Okay, so we can go back to shadow people a little bit later, because I have some other things I want to kind of go over with those, but it's not really specifically relevant to Waverly. So there are reports of other types of spiritual activity in Waverly. Like there's like a little bit of everything there. There's footsteps, which are a really big thing, and I can see why. There's reports of people getting scratched, which I didn't get a scratch, but I had like literally my left wrist and hand the first hour we were there swelled up really bad.
Like so bad. And it was super red too.
Yeah, like my hand it was just my left hand. It was really, really red and weird. Like it was like sometimes my hands will swell a little bit, but that was to like a different point where I was just like, we might have to leave if it doesn't get better. And it did get better, but it was just very peculiar.
Very random.
And a very like woo-woo comment I have on this. Like I wear on my left hand a ring that's, I think it's like obsidian or something. I got it at some store. And I went with my friend who's into Wicca, and she told me, because I was asking her, because I don't necessarily know how much I believe it, but I find it interesting. And I was like, hey, can you help me find a ring that'd be good to like wear on ghost hunts to help protect me from things? And she picked that one, and I wore it on my left hand, and I had to take it off because my hand was so freaking swollen.
Yeah.
So I didn't wear it the whole night. But at the same time, like it's still in my pocket, so I mean,
it's on your person.
But that was my equivalent to being scratched or getting that weird ass bite.
Yeah,
my hand swelling up that time. One of the interesting things that people talk about having experienced at Waverly is a mimic, like a spirit does it physically copy people, or is it just their voice that it can copy?
Both.
So what's interesting about that is there's folklore about like if you see a spirit that looks like you, it means you're like destined to die. So like she's like, that's really creepy.
I think it's for the doppelganger, like
yeah,
story
that's what it is,
from.
the doppelganger. So it's just like, don't like
good
that
thing
very
we didn't
much.
see either of ourselves.
Yeah. So then obviously the creeper and the shadow people, the spirits at Waverly are said to be very intelligent, which I believe. If you go down to like the morgue especially, people have reported hearing humming, and even like a spirit completing a song. If you start humming it, it'll finish it for you accurately. We tried doing that. We were, what was it, Yankee Doodle Dandy? The whole way through. We were just like, should we sing again? Why, yes, we should. We probably, because we were investigating, we got these headlamps and we had it switched to the red setting. So we were just walking with these red lights on our hand, singing on our head, singing Yankee Doodle Dandy.
People probably thought we were demons.
It must have been terrifying.
Yeah, especially the people at the end of the body chute.
Yeah, we might as well talk about that now.
Yeah.
I was so scared to go to the body shoot. I think we even posted a video where the audio is played on Instagram. I didn't want to go down the hall. And I was like, can't we just look at it from down here? And Kayla was like, no, come on, Emily, it'll be fine. So we go down there with our red headlamps on, and we're just walking down, and we realize that there's people down at the bottom of the body.
Well, we
chute.
assume, we hope, because we could hear voices.
Yeah, but they like looked up, and you could tell they flashed their light at us, and we're just there with our red lamps in the dark, not realizing how scary we look. And then Kayla's like, hello. And then they flashed away, and they turned the spirit box on immediately after.
They did. They were like, well, let's communicate with these demons at the top of the tunnel.
Because we saw ourselves in, like, the windows, and it did look like 2 red eyes. So, and then Kayla almost fell down the stairs.
I don't know. I do think I just tripped in the body chute, but I definitely fell. So I don't know. You could say maybe I got pushed, but.
Yeah, so I mean, Waverly, like, for a place that has literally, let's just blanket statement say it has every paranormal phenomenon basically you can talk about. I don't think there's really any entity that's really malicious. There is in room 502 with the story related to the nurse, there is like people do get really sick in there sometimes. Like they have a very visceral, like physical, emotional reaction almost, but not everybody. It's just some people walk in there and get hit really hard by something. But you know, other than that, there's not really anything malevolent there.
No.
Like even the shadow creatures, if they are there, aren't malevolent. They're just scary.
Right.
Just because shadows are scary.
Do you want to kind of talk about what the theories are, or what a shadow person is? Because then maybe that will help enlighten some of you that might not know much about what shadow
enlighten us on shadow people.
I'm so funny.
So obviously there isn't like any set explanation for what shadow people might be. They kind of fall into 3 potential categories. They can either be ghosts, they can be demons, or they can be interdimensional travelers.
That's
of
my
some
favorite.
Sort. Yes, and obviously mine's demons. So if they're a ghost, some people speculate that maybe it's just the light spectrum we're seeing them on, and that's why they appear shadows. Some people speculate that when the spirit hasn't like fully realized that it's dead or anything yet, so it's kind of lost, and it's just that's why it's just not distinctive at all, because it's not fully there, and that's why it's just not enlightened yet, so it's a dark figure. The demons thing, demons are demons. That's just kind of, it's an ominous dark shadow. That's what it is. And those types of shadow people are usually accompanied with feelings of unease and sickness, and apparently if you see them, you just feel like you didn't see anything that was ever human before, whatever that feels like.
Yeah.
And then the interdimensional traveler could either be a time traveler, an alien, or somebody in an alternate dimension.
Yeah.
That's just happening to just peek through a little bit. So I don't know how I feel about all that. I know
it's kind of funny that almost seems like less likely than demons. I don't know what that says about me.
See, I don't know though. Like I feel like the different dimensions could be explained eventually, but that could also then explain demons, I think.
Well, or even ghosts. I mean, who's to say they're not just they're just in another plane, and that's why they can sometimes peek through, and the veil, all that.
On shadow people, I like that I'm like wanting to debunk all the shadow people at Waverly when I've literally like had a shadow person experience, and I'm still just like, water stains on the ceiling. There's no shadow people.
It's good to be a skeptical believer in ghosts, because it's not always
right.
That's kind of like the show, like Ghost Hunters Taps. Like that's kind of what they do, is like they like to make sure that it's not. They like to debunk or check that it's not water stains or it's pipes, or it's because it's not always ghosts.
Yeah, because another thing, and this kind of ties into my story, which I'll share in a little bit. Shadow people are often attributed to sleep paralysis because, and I think we've talked about this on the show before, there is a common like shared nightmare, or I guess even hallucination, with sleep paralysis where people will see like an actual shadow figure in their room because they're awake but not fully awake. And the way you can kind of determine if you're having sleep paralysis and experiencing that is you can't get up, you can't move. And I think that's usually called like the sleep paralysis demon, basically. It's like they just see it, which is terrifying that is a common thing. And we're just like, that's just brains are funny. I'm like,
but
really? I'm like, is that the Sandman? Is that a demon? What's happening?
Yeah.
So my story is I wasn't falling asleep. I was in bed, like at the point where you're getting ready for bed, but you're not quite sleepy yet. And the lights were off. And I think like a hallway light. I think what it was the bathroom light, which I could see from the hallway, was on, but only, like when the door's closed and you see the light around the edges, like the frame of the door.
The poltergeist.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I saw that. So there was enough illumination in the hallway that I could look and see that there's a whole ass man standing in the doorway. Like a big one. And it was so bad that it was really quick, but it was just like look over. Bad enough that I got up and had to check the entire house to make sure nobody was there with all my dogs, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And nobody was there.
I think that's more legit because you weren't even sleepy yet. You were just in bed.
Yeah, and I got up and we're going to do this.
It's not like you were falling asleep or...
And it was just like a split second of just seeing the full figure just literally filling the doorway.
Yeah.
And I'm still just like, oh, that could have been something else, though. But that goes back to it wasn't like the sleep paralysis thing, because I got up and I walked and I have a witness to be like, what the hell were you doing? You were just walking around the house, you weirdo.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I think there is something to shadow people. I think you have to be careful in places like Waverly where they're literally made of
dark
shadows.
Spots everywhere.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, there's so many windows and doors
and when we went, they'd had some Easter event earlier, so there were balloons everywhere.
At least they were only on the 2nd floor.
Oh, okay.
But they were everywhere. So we kept thinking, it's just a freaking balloon again.
There was one part we were standing during the first tour we took before we were kind of set loose. And there was a balloon that kept poking its little balloon head into this window we were standing by, and we're like, is that a balloon? Yeah, that's a balloon. I'm like, but is it a balloon? I don't think it's a balloon. Because it's not a balloon, it's a person. I know, just but it was a balloon verified. But yeah, it's just anything can be really a creepy looking shadow in the moment.
Yeah. Well, and your eyes can play tricks on you too when you're trying to adjust. Well, that's why I guess why we had the red light on is so red kind of keeps your eyes in night vision.
Yeah.
It doesn't where a white light, your eyes are going to adjust. It takes longer to then adjust back if you turn that white light off.
Yeah,
but red doesn't do that.
We didn't actually use a regular flashlight the entire time. The only time we were back in light was when we'd go back to home base for me to cry because my back hurt.
Take a break.
Or go bathroom. Infinite needs to go to the bathroom because I drink so much water. But yeah, those are kind of the main stories. There really are only 3 actual characters, I guess you could say there, and that's the nurse, the homeless man, and Timmy. Which is interesting because a lot of places have more specific lore when they're this big,
right?
But I think this place just delivers.
It does. And I don't know if this is relevant or not, but so our tour guide said to not call out directly to Timmy because they kind of don't know where that came from. It just I don't know, some medium was there or some group thought they heard Timmy, and so then the legend of Timmy was born. So we didn't call out specifically to Timmy. We took her advice. So that's just, but everyone always does on all the big ghost hunting shows. They're always reaching out to Timmy, but we did not. It's just a preface.
We did not.
But anyways.
We did have somebody introduce themselves, though.
Oh, we did. Yeah, so I guess we're now to the investigation portion of the episode.
Yeah.
Where do we want to start? Do we want to go chronological with the events that happened?
I say we should go, because chronological would be best because we didn't really have much of a set pattern. If we went floor by floor, we kind of just roamed.
We did roam. I guess to preface, so there was there's about 60 people on this tour with us.
Yeah.
I am very naive thinking, wow, there's this many people that want a ghost hunt. I'm not unique.
It was a very good group,
but they were
though.
very good, very respectful. No one was loud or obnoxious. Like when we or other people would run into us, it was like, oh, sorry. And like everyone was being very respectful. And you would kind of move past if you saw someone was investigating an area, or you'd turn around and go to a different floor.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want more to add.
Well, so the investigation was set up. It started at midnight. They locked us in.
Like literally.
Yeah, like they locked us in. There's alarms. There's security, essentially. And they told us at the beginning that they would let us out at 2, 4, and
6 when it ended.
And we got the bulk of our actual evidence. I can't think of that word today. We got the bulk of our actual evidence between like 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people had left by then.
Yeah, I mean, most people left by 4. There was probably only about 20 people left. And this building is massive. I mean, it's 150,000 square feet. So we honestly didn't run into very many people.
Yeah.
Because it's just so massive.
Yeah.
And few people left at 2 a.m. and then, mass exodus.
Mass exodus.
At 4.
Yeah, by the point we were getting stuff, we almost had floors to ourselves, because that's what people were doing. The people that were left were people that actually brought equipment and were doing actual like experiments. And if somebody saw somebody doing something, they actively left to respectfully like give them their space to actually conduct an experiment. So it makes a lot of what we found very compelling to us.
Or you might kind of join up with the group. We did that a little bit. If we saw like people doing an EVP session, we'd kind of like
quietly just hang
back, or we were on the 3rd floor.
We're on the 3rd floor, and it was 1:58 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and previously during the tour of the facility, the tour guide, she had talked about how lately they've been getting a lot of healed footsteps, where they assume it's probably the nurses.
And so, like we said, we're in a big group. We'd gotten really familiar with what it sounded like when somebody else was approaching us. And in fact, there were a lot of times that you didn't hear a person's footsteps. You were just suddenly like, bam, somebody's there with a flashlight. And you're like, holy shit, where'd you come from? Right. We had that happen more than a few times. And then if there was like a group approaching that was loud enough that you could hear their footsteps, you usually heard them talking too.
And we would call that out. We would say
every time
we'd be like, oh, there's people coming. Oh, that's human. I kept saying that's human footsteps. That's human voices.
I know. I was joking that if there were ghosts there, she was pissing them off because she wasn't letting them be humans. They're no longer humans just because they're dead.
That was like I said that.
Are those human footsteps? So many times.
So, we called out if we heard stuff to kind of, make sure we weren't, if it was contamination.
Yeah. So, I guess we can play it now. It starts with a big clattering, clanging sound. We don't actually know what it is.
No, we heard it, and we assumed it was probably a person running into something.
I like that we were just like, that's nothing.
But it could have been a ghost thing, for all we know.
Yep, so just listen to what happens immediately after. You'll hear us comment on it. Mm-hmm. Insert sound here.
I'm going to be turning on my digital recorder. That's the beep. Well, that sounds like someone's misbehaving upstairs, but if you're down here on the 3rd floor with us and you want to play with those balls I just put down, they're really cool. They light up when you touch them. Oh my god, yes. I just got fucking shivers. But those were very determined footsteps.
Well, somebody just sounded like they fell over something. It also kind of sounded like a heartbeat, though.
Like, those didn't sound just like our footsteps. Just walking. Oh my god, yes. I just got fucking shivers.
So, what I found super interesting, I forgot I said it at the time, that I commented that it sounded like a heartbeat. Because that was something one of our tour guides had mentioned. And it still, when we listen back to it, it still sounds like more like a heartbeat to me than anything. Which is creepy.
Yeah. To me, it sounds more like footsteps, but I mean, we're just having different experiences. But it's also weird when we amplified it in our headphones, like we could hear the footsteps a lot longer than we initially thought we could hear them.
Yeah, I heard them before we even mentioned it, like hearing it in person, because we heard it in person and it was scary.
And like it sent shivers.
Mm-hmm.
Like we actually ended up then not going. I think we left that floor.
Yeah, I almost, like, I felt like I wanted to run away. But another interesting thing, when we heard it like in person, it sounded like it was coming at us from down the hall. But listening to the recording, it sounds more to me like it's above us, which is weird.
And you could hear there's like voices down at the end of the hall. So like to be fair, there were people around us, but those were like footsteps that most people were just kind of walking like, you know, normal, slow pace. Everyone was wearing like hiking boots or tennis shoes. Like, I don't know. Those footsteps were very distinct.
And also, they were coming towards us.
Yes.
Which is not the first time that has happened. Well, it was the first time it happened there. But it wasn't the only time.
Nope.
And that was the really scary part, is they were coming at us and we saw no one.
And we saw yeah, because it's like we could hear that there was people at the end of the hall and we could kind of see their lights, but they were like moving farther away from us. And
like I legit expected to see just a spirit just fully form walking towards us.
It's also where they just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
super interesting.
It's okay.
It's okay. I don't know.
Fine.
So I guess we're maybe moving on into the other experiences. So this one we heard these in person. I don't know if that's better or worse.
I think it's better. I think it's better than what happened next, because the next one literally brings tears to my. Every time we play it, like it's like that intense when you get chills so bad that it's like you're gonna cry.
Yeah, we
This is just weird as hell.
So
because I recorded this one on my iPhone, right? That's where we caught it mainly.
Yeah. So I guess we could set up the scene. So this is now after 4 a.m.
Yes.
And we were going down to the body shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going down from the second floor down to the first floor. And so Emily's recording voice memo on her iPhone. And you'll hear me in her recording. So we're going down the stairs and I was getting ready to video, but I realized my flash was on. So I stop on the stairs, Emily's behind me, and I'm messing with my phone to turn the flash off. And then I start video recording. And something happens in that window before I start recording, which I think is very interesting.
All right, back at it. It's 4:11. Yep, we are heading down. I wonder how many people are left.
At least 20 left. Alright. We're going to ask by the work. We can go into it.
I wonder how many people are left.
So, I still get chills listening to that because...
Yeah, like literally, maybe we need to set the scene a little bit better. So the stairs there are terrifying. We have pictures of it. We could share a picture and we have videos. We have the video that Kayla half did.
Yes.
That literally just cut around the majority of those footsteps. But the stairs are very, they're like short lengthwise. Like literally, I feel like my whole foot kind of took up the step. Mm-hmm. They're old. They look
They're marble, so they're kind of slippery.
A little crumbly.
A little crumbly, a little slippery. And the railing's really short because...
And I didn't want to touch... I did touch it, but everything you're kind of like, but do I I touch it?
Yeah.
So saying all that to say that everybody was walking on them very carefully. And I remember thinking every time I went down them to be careful because I was really kind of a little bit afraid of tripping and falling down them.
Yes. And also by this point, Emily's back is killing her. Not just running under the bus, but... And I had terrible knees. Like, when I go down the stairs, like, I ain't running down the stairs because my knees hurt.
We're the little granny Ghostbusters.
And also, by this point, it's like 4:15 in the morning. We're tired. Nobody's running. And this... Well, you hear us say in the clip, how many people do you think's left? Probably about 20. Like,
we hadn't seen anybody in a long time.
Seen anyone in a while. And so I'm pretty confident we were alone in that stairwell.
And that was another thing that, to me, when I hear that, it sounds like somebody was waiting, like, down kind of towards where we were going, and they darted up past us and up the stairs is what it sounded like to me. And envisioning that we were just going down the stairs and that something we couldn't see ran past us.
And we did not hear these at the time either. Like, they're pretty loud running footsteps. Like, I am confident we would have called out, oh, there's someone running above us, or... And it's super coincidental timing that I was not filming yet. It's almost like the person, the ghost, was like, oh, she's not filming. I'm gonna sneak past him real quick.
Right, which is just like...
And you also, like, to know, you might be like, well, maybe those are just... Because you don't hear our footsteps. It's because I stopped on the stairs, like, mid-stairs, to fix my phone. And then you kind of hear after the running, you hear our clump, clump, clump.
Like, it literally sounds like we're like a pack of mules.
As you can tell how tired we are, we're just like thump, thump.
Yeah,
thump.
and you'll notice that with me, I have a little charm on my backpack. So I jingle. We like joke that I'm like a cat with a bell on its collar. Because like whenever I move, you're ding, ding, ding. So I'm very distinctive, and like you can just tell when we're walking versus, you know, when somebody's just sprinting on the stairs. And I also think it sounds like smaller footsteps, so I really feel like it was like a child.
Yeah. And it also, I counted, and there's about 12 steps. So it's like 12 steps, a landing, 12 steps. The footsteps, like if you count them, it's closer to like 20. So yeah, I think that just the thing ran pretty much the full length of the floor, the staircase.
I love that you counted the stairs, by the way. That you were like, I need to know. How many steps did they take?
I know, I was like, I also tested myself at work, like, how fast would I have to run down the stairs if it was me? And it was like, those are faster than I can run downstairs. I am not in shape.
Specifically those stairs. And yeah, we would have commented if we heard somebody running. We'd be like, what the fuck are they running from? Like,
exactly.
Why are they running? Should we be scared? So
more. But wait, there's more.
There is more. This one scares me a lot. I didn't actually hear this.
This is a credit to your...
I was so excited about this audio because it was on my phone, so I just sent it to a bunch of people. And my mom, shout out to Mom, she's like one of our biggest fans. I think she listens as soon as the episode drops.
I know, it's so awesome.
But she got this audio, and she's like, she didn't really focus on the footsteps. She's like, the person saying hello? I'm like, what person saying hello? And we kind of heard it on my phone listening back, but when we listened to it just now with the headphones in, we were like, holy fuck.
This is a clear hello.
And it's like very well timed with when we were talking.
Yeah, because you'll hear me say, we're coming up on the morgue.
Yeah, the morgue.
Yeah, so this also happens in front of the morgue.
Yeah, which was empty. It was very empty.
Yeah, and you can very faintly hear, because I am recording on my iPhone video by this point, you can faintly hear it as well on my iPhone, but it's much clearer on Emily's iPhone.
Which is an interesting observation. We were never very far apart in this investigation, and there are multiple instances where we would hear something on one device, whether it's we both had our iPhones and we're doing something different with our iPhones, or one of us had a digital recorder and one of us had an iPhone going. we would hear usually the same thing on both devices, but it would clearly sound like one thing was closer to another person, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because
So I think this hello was being said to you.
yeah, this one in particular was like right up in my business, and in yours it sounded like it was further away, and I think you were up closer.
Well, I was in front.
Yeah, because I was like,
you
fuck,
were like,
fuck, fuck, fuck.
you were
I'm so
like
scared.
She was like, I don't want to go. And I'm like, it's fine. Let's go.
I was like, okay.
So we probably were a little farther apart because I was like leading the way, but we were still within several feet of each other. But
So we can play that.
yeah, so we'll
that
play.
sound and...
It's after I say morgue.
We're gonna pass by the morgue. Oh, we can. We're gonna pass by the morgue. Oh, we can.
So we decided that my mom's hired as our researcher.
Mm-hmm.
We don't pay. In fact, I think you have to pay to participate.
At this point,
It's very expensive.
I joked with Emily like we should do a reel about how much money we've spent, and she was like, "No, that's just gonna depress me."
Yeah, please don't. I want to continue doing this. I don't need reasons not to present it.
We are very much in the hole, but we're having fun.
Yeah.
And getting legit things. Like, I don't know, that hello is...
I feel like...
And it was kind of like, hey, I'm coming up on the morgue, and it was like, hey.
So this is a bit of a spoiler, because we do get some other voices.
Mm-hmm.
They're all a man's voice.
Yes.
They all sound to me the same.
Yeah. So do you think somebody was just following us that night?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Unless...
Maybe it was like, was it running down the stairs to like lead the way?
Wait, guys!
Wait, I'm coming! Or you think it was running up the stairs, but regardless. I don't know.
But like, so either we had the same spirit following us, or there was like a jackass person creeping around after us trying to scare us, which I find unlikely, because we did point out at one point, because there was one audio we heard of somebody talking, and it was a man again, and it didn't sound the same, but we kind of noticed that there's a different kind of echo
when it's human voices.
And then when it's something that we believe to be like a spirit, an EVP, like there's a muffling and a distortion that's just a little bit different. Obviously, we don't have the ability to analyze audio to the point of being able to say something really smart sounding, but that's kind of our
they almost sound these which in an EVP, if you don't know, it's an electronic voice phenomenon. They almost sound like they're I don't know, kind of distorted or coming through.
Which, if you think about them needing to use
very electronic-y
mm-hmm.
sounding.
Which, you know, a lot of... This is why we need to record, because half of what I'm doing right now is just facial expressions.
Paranormal, like...
Thank you.
Researchers and...
They... Obviously, they tie, like, electronics and spirits being able to manipulate electricity and electronics to communicate. If that is the case, then the fact that the way our equipment and just our phones, which isn't really equipment, but we're basically using it like that in our investigations, they come through them differently,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes solely just through that item, and for them to sound distorted in the audio. And we've had our iPhones in particular glitch multiple times on investigations.
Yes.
To the point where it's just like, that was an abnormal glitch, particularly at the Sally house. We won't talk about that in detail, but that's the one I'm thinking of as far as like...
Yeah, we haven't... Yeah, that's got to be something we talk about someday, because we did a return to the Sally house, and we've just not talked about it, but we...
Yeah, I haven't let us talk about it.
I know, I think, Emily, she's still got to work on getting brave to talk about our return to the Sally house, but...
Maybe I'm just smart.
Maybe. I'm the dummy, no to do. But anyways, the iPhone did a super weird glitch thing. But yeah,
should we continue our journey?
So we should continue our journey. So then from here, we went to the body shoot. I tripped or was pushed
by a friend.
And then we go...
It's because you said they weren't human.
Probably.
You bitch.
It was... We should post the video of me tripping.
Oh,
I am really confused, because Emily's like, "What'd you do?"
To be fair, I asked if you were okay first. And then I started laughing and blamed you for falling.
And I'm like, you can tell my voice, I'm super confused.
Yeah,
I'm
you're like, I don't know.
I guess I tripped.
You're like, I guess I missed a step.
But so then from there, we started making our way. I think we hadn't been to the 4th floor much. I think we were working our way up to the 4th floor, but we got stopped on the 3rd floor. We ran into a gentleman.
Yes.
I don't know.
He was like, I just had someone kick this ball.
And yeah, he did. Yeah, he was so excited. Like,
It was adorable.
yeah, he was so excited. He just said he had like rolled the ball and then it like went hard down the hall, like someone kicked it.
I don't think this guy was real though.
I know, because he literally, then he was like, I'm gonna go get my ball. And he walked down the hall and we never saw him again. Like literally never saw him again the rest of the night.
He looked like anybody's dad.
Yeah.
I think he had the mustache even, didn't he?
I think so. Well, I mean, we can see in the video.
Yeah.
But
He just appeared to tell us he was doing this, and then he just bravely marched into the darkness.
Yeah.
Never to
I
return.
don't even think he had a flashlight.
He did. He had a flashlight.
Oh, did he? But
Because I remember watching the video because I commented, I was like, I wish I was that brave. Because he was just alone. He just goes off until his light just was swallowed up.
by the darkness.
And he never
And we never saw him the rest of the night either. Like, so we're like, was he real?
No.
Did we see a full body apparition?
I was pretending to be a ghost hunter. He's like, I love joining these things. I just had this ball kicked.
But then that kind of inspired us. We're like, okay, well, he just had this ball kick. So we're like, well, let's just do a little.
We brought so many balls with us.
Yeah, so we had those little cat balls that light up. And we're also outside the elevator shaft where
Yeah.
the homeless man and his dog lived. So we're right outside that.
Yep.
And I put a couple balls down. And I will say you can kind of hear, I think there was people, they were on the floor above or the floor below kind of talking in the stairwell because we're pretty close to the stairwell.
Yeah, I remember
So-
being nervous about people coming down and tripping on things.
Yes.
But they went away because that's when we started getting more comfortable.
So yeah, you might initially, kind of hear some people talking and then they move on and then we were very much alone.
No,
or so we
we're
thought.
not. So how did this start? This started with us saying, we invited somebody to come speak with us.
Yes.
And now we're going to play what happened.
We heard you just kicked a ball. Do you want to kick these little balls that light up that we brought? See how far they can go down the hallway? Bet they can go pretty far. Is there someone here that wants to talk to us?
Okay, so we weren't supposed to be recording right now. We were actually editing. We had something recorded already, but when we were listening through to the EVPs again, we realized that we missed a couple things. So we're re-recording the commentary for this section to account for that. So you guys just heard shuffling, right? That's
Yep.
all you heard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we might sound a little rough too. We're both extremely tired and it's very late on Sunday night.
Yeah.
So if
This
we
was supposed to just be an editing night, but we're like, okay, we have to re-record this
Yeah,
section
it's the best thing to
because we heard more than we thought we did.
Yeah.
As we're amplifying the clips. So we'll first talk about the shuffling, even though there's actually something that happens before the shuffling. So obviously I say is anyone here that wants to speak with us? And then you start to hear this shuffling footsteps coming towards us. And we were alone on the floor by this point. That the guy that we had ran into earlier, a couple minutes before,
he returned to the nether regions of hell or something, wherever he
went
came
down
from.
the hall. We never saw him again. And when he was walking away, he was just walking normal, like he wasn't shuffling. So it wasn't him coming back, and we obviously would have seen him.
And another thing, like, we recorded, this was a video, so
Yes.
we pulled the audio from the video clip, and we're just looking down a completely empty black hall. You can hear those footsteps shuffling towards us. Like, there should have been someone there. And when you watch the video, and we'll post it at some point, when you watch it, it's very clear that there should be something there.
And you can tell I'm not moving. I'm
we
recording.
didn't hear anything.
And Emily was standing next to me. Of course, she's not in the video shot, but like we had said earlier, her bag jingles. So
I'm loud.
It's not her.
No. I guarantee if I had heard that shuffling in person, I would have ran away.
Yeah, that's another thing. We did not hear that.
I'd be gone.
We were just, I thought we might get a voice or something. Like, we were just, asking questions and being quiet.
Right.
And
yeah, we thought that interaction, like, failed for the most part.
Exactly. Like, that's so loud. It's like, it actually baffles me that we didn't hear that.
Right. And, like, two other, like, observations we had with that sound in particular is, one, we both feel like it kind of sounds like slippers, like, like you might wear if you're in a hospital room or something.
Mm-hmm.
And two, we'd heard comments on the tour that patients of Waverly who had the surgery done where they'd have some of their rib cage removed would kind of walk with, like, a hunch permanently. And I don't know, I could only imagine if you're walking with such a severe hunch, you would not be picking up your feet like most people would with a normal healthy gait. So I imagine there might be a shuffling sound.
Exactly. So it could be that type of patient, or even just an elderly patient when it was a nursing home too. They don't pick up their feet often. So it was not a live person.
Not human foot, as Kayla would say.
I was trying to word it differently.
No, that's your thing now.
Human footsteps. Yeah.
So there's more though to this audio, so we're gonna play back some of it. We'll just play it for now. We'll talk about it. We caught 2 instances of somebody saying something though.
So we'll play those for you now.
So enjoy being creeped out like we are.
We heard you just kicked a ball. Do you want to kick these little balls that light up that we brought? See how far they can go down the hallway? But they can go pretty far.
We heard 2 separate yeses in that audio.
Mm-hmm.
We only replayed the first one just because that one's a lot easier. That was the first one we heard. We didn't hear the second one until today.
Yeah. And we tried to isolate it, and it was harder to pull out, so we just decided you can go back and listen to the full clip if you want to hear it again. But I mean, those are intelligent responses. I'm like saying, do you want to kick this ball? Yes. And then
I'm pretty sure when we first found the EVP, when we were first recording it, I pulled the section that we were originally talking about, and I titled it "Voldemort Wants to Kick the Ball." But I mean, that's pretty much all we have to say on that one. We didn't hear those 2 sounds initially, definitely not in person, definitely not listening back to the EVPs at first. So
it definitely sounds like the 2 yeses, they're after I ask questions. They sound like the same voice, and it also sounds like that same hello from outside the morgue that we got earlier.
Yeah.
I guess also to note, the voices have kind of a distorted sound to them, which also, I don't think it was a human voice, as I would say.
A former human.
A former human. Yeah, it just kind of has that, I don't know, distorted sound. So.
Yeah, it almost sounded like it was being played in reverse to me. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know, it's just weird sounding. But yeah, that's what that is.
That's not all that we got.
That's not it.
So this is all happening in the same 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
session on this floor, and so we're asked. So then the yeses happen, then the shuffling, then Emily gets out another ball.
Well, the cat ball goes off first.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I think the yeses happen, and then the cat ball goes off, which is the first thing we thought actually happened.
Because obviously we saw that in person.
Yeah, that was the only part of the interaction that we actually experienced was the cat balls going off.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened like 3 paranormal activities after. I can't speak. So the next thing we have is post cat ball.
Yes, what happens after we're getting the balls going off, and Emily had put out a white waffle ball as well, so waffle ball. I'm like, why does that not sound right? Because it's not right, Kayla.
I was looking at you like, waffle?
God.
I was thinking,
oh my god.
No, I want a waffle.
I definitely want a waffle.
Then I was thinking like waffle fabric shirt, and I was like, surely she knows what she's talking about.
No, she doesn't.
Well, I don't think this next one needs a lot of explanation. You guys will hear.
Yeah, can you roll that back to us?
My name's Emily.
My name's Kayla.
My name's Emily.
My name's Kayla.
So
that was Tim,
which is interesting because on that floor is, quote, Timmy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Timmy did not sound like a little boy.
See, and again, like, I still have that concern, like, was somebody just messing with us? But we heard, once we play the full recording, at some point you'll hear that there is another voice that we capture. That's a man's voice, but it sounds distinctly different. It has that echo. You can tell it's in the stairwell. This one,
it's got that kind of electronic-y sound. I'm Tim. I'm Tim.
And just the timing of it, like,
it was right after you say, I'm Emily. I'm Tim.
Yeah.
And
then unless somebody had literally been hiding.
This group just wasn't like that.
Yeah, like, we can't rule it out 100%, but I just feel like we heard nothing. We heard nothing in person, so it would have had to have been something we could have heard in person.
These we didn't hear at the time.
We did not hear anybody say, I'm Tim, because Kayla immediately after said, what's your name?
Yeah, and then the ball goes off, because he's probably like, I just told you my name.
Stop asking me these stupid, redundant questions.
Yeah.
So, I think Tim was hanging out with us the whole time.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. But yeah, that was that's the big evidence we got.
Yeah.
Which is plenty. I mean.
Yeah, for me, it's all extremely compelling. So there's that.
There's Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
That was, I still feel skeptical overall, but I think that was one of the most compelling investigations we've had, and one of the most compelling, like, interactions I've ever had into anything paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Where it wasn't just some quick thing that happened that we could maybe explain away.
Yeah, and it was a good mix of a couple things we witnessed, and on few things we didn't even know were happening at the time. So,
yeah. So, would love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah.
If you could comment. Love if you could comment on us, like, on Spotify and iTunes, but also if you want to swing to our Instagram and check out those videos, please comment there.
Mm-hmm. At Remnants Pod.
Yes. Let us know what you think. If you've been to Waverly, send us a message and
let us know what happened to you, your experiences there.
Yeah. We'd love to hear it.
And really, our whole the whole experience for the Waverly, it's nice. It's well done.
It is extremely fun.
It is. Even if you just are not into ghosts and you just want to explore, like, an abandoned building, I mean, it's cool.
That element of it was one of my favorite parts. Like, even without thinking we'd gotten a lot of activity, like, just being able to explore. Like, I think I said multiple times that I felt like I was in a video game.
You did.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I was scared out of my mind, but it was fun, and I want to go back so bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been bit.
Oh yeah. We already dropped more money on an investigation because we're like, we need more.
I need more. I'm addicted.
So,
this is going to be our last episode for a little bit, isn't it?
Yes, it's our, if you want to call it, our season 1 finale.
Mm-hmm. We're I think it's good to end this season on a high note because we have a lot of plans, and we're by no means going to stop working because we have a lot.
Yes, we just
planned
need to
out.
give ourselves some time to catch up so that we can do some investigations, and there's some heavy research episodes we're really excited about we want to do, but we just need to give ourselves the time to do it. So yes, we're going to take a little hiatus until season 2 starts. Hopefully just
Not too long.
not too long.
Because we have a lot going on. And with it moving into summer, we're able to investigate more easily again
Mm-hmm.
now that we're out of winter. So we definitely we'll still be doing some of our kind of little, let's just call them mini episodes, but investigating is what we really like doing.
Yes.
Oh my God. We've got, what is it, like 4 ideas?
Oh yeah, that we'll hopefully get to this summer. So.
Oh yeah. Like legit investigations.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for now.
Yeah, so please, like, if you've enjoyed our first 13 episodes,
We ended on 13.
I know, it's kind of perfect, isn't it?
Ooh.
Yeah, please spread the word. We really, need your help in getting the word out, and leaving us reviews would be so awesome.
We've got a lot of fun new things planned for season 2, including building up our YouTube page.
Yes. So our goal is to get our Waverly episode edited, because there's a lot more content, too, of us just exploring the place that we obviously can't really share in the medium of a podcast. So that'll be really exciting to get out. And we just got a lot of fun stuff planned for season 2, so...
Yeah, and so we'll just kind of end on this note. We did post a poll, I guess, on our Instagram stories at Remnants Pod, kind of asking people if they've ever seen a ghost. And then afterwards we prompted anybody who has to share us their story, and we did get one, and we said we'd read it on the podcast, so here it is.
So this is from Kelsey, and she went to college in Atchison, and she said she lived in the oldest dorm on campus. Each year they did, quote, room blessings with holy water, but she opted out. She was alone in her room doing homework with the door closed and had been in there for a while. She got up from her desk to leave, and the door was locked and wouldn't budge. She had to pull down on the handle hard a couple of times in order to get it to unlock and open the door. It was the same night as the dorm's room blessing that she opted out of.
It's pretty spooky.
And we know Atchison is
Oh,
hella
yeah.
haunted. So
Hella haunted.
thank you for sharing that story,
Just go-
Kelsey.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about when we talk about Atchison being haunted, then we will refer you to our first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Please go listen to that. The audio is a little bit rougher.
You can definitely tell we've improved our audio.
Yeah, but you should totally listen to it.
Yeah.
And there is actually one more piece of evidence we forgot about.
What?
We have a picture.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm so focused on talking about the voices
I
and
know.
footsteps. I did forget about, oh my god, this is like legit too.
We're definitely posting this when we announce this episode, so hopefully you will have seen it. But when we first parked at Waverly, I did the whole look up, take a picture of the building because it's freaky as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it to a group chat I have. And I instantly got a screenshot of the picture back that somebody had circled and literally said, "Look at this creepy beach." And I was like, it's just a fucking tear in the window. It's nothing at the time. And then we looked back at it like the day after and zoomed in at this like distortion in the window that I thought was a tear in the screen.
Mm-mm.
But this tear in the screen happens to have what looks like parting of hair, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, a chin, a neck, and a chest.
And 2 arms.
The arms are so dumb looking that I'm not accepting them.
It's like, woohoo!
Yeah, it's just like, welcome to my sanatorium. Woo! The rest of it's creepy as hell, but then you see the arms
face-
and it's just like...
It's like that they're in a V.
Yeah.
up,
Or is
but-
it just like her legs? Just like, woo!
But the face, I mean...
The face belongs in Conjuring.
I know there could be, what do you call that, where you're like you
Matrixing?
yeah, but this is too cool. I mean, it's a face.
Everybody other than us instantly was like, there's a woman in the window.
Mm-hmm.
And
We're the ones being more skeptical about it than everyone else.
Like, I've since people have pointed out, I've sent it to people, I'm like, not even zooming in, I'm just like, do you see anything in this picture that's weird?
And they always
So like,
find
yeah,
it.
the second window. And I'm like, okay. And the longer I look at it, the more I'm like, that's a full-ass fucking face.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it was welcoming us
I'm really glad I didn't believe.
at the time.
Yeah, because I think I would have been more scared. I think I was in denial because, like, I have to do this. There is not a lady in the window.
I'm pushing that away.
The first freaking picture I take of this place.
It literally was. Also, this place is notoriously hard to find.
Oh my god.
spent...
We should post that video, too, of me driving and be like,
is this right? I think it's right. But the direction stopped. I don't know.
And Kayla just told me, like, we found this padlock gate. And she was just like, just go up there. And I'm like, okay. And we just go and we stop. I'm like, well, that's a gate.
And it's locked.
It's a locked gate.
I more wanted to go up to it because there was like a sign, so I wanted to read what the sign said.
And then I got scared because I think there was another person going to this investigation that pulled us up behind us.
I mean, it is, we're driving at like 11:45 at night. I mean, it is.
In a kind of a not great area.
Mm-hmm.
That I had no idea where we were. And I was just like, oh my god, did somebody just take the opportunity to just block us in this dead end? I was like, shit. But we were fine.
I think they were just also there
They
for
were,
the
they were.
investigation, and
But
we're
then-
also equally lost.
Yeah, and then we ended up finding this trail that went alongside a golf course. It was a whole thing. It was just, you could tell that we were terrified.
Yeah, I think we were just trying to keep ourselves like happy and distracted. We're having a good time. But we did have a good time.
We
So
did have a very good time.
I hope you enjoyed our episode, and yeah, we'll be back better than ever.
Better and hopefully with even more amazing evidence.
Yeah, because we are official. I'm calling us official ghost hunters now. We're not amateur anymore.
Sure.
Sure.
Whatever you say, Kayla.
Okay.
Alrighty, we'll see you for season 2.
Woohoo. Bye.
Bye.